Hi there. This is Michael Becker, and in this Tinderbox lesson, we're going to do something a bit different than what we've done in the past. In the past lessons, I've been focused on specific tactical how-tos within Tinderbox. But rather, in this lesson, what I'm going to focus on is providing you a comprehensive overview of a complete Tinderbox file that I've been working on, specifically a file to help people with daily task management, daily journal, yeah, activity tracking, activity reporting, etc. And so with that in mind, you're going to be able to use this file for its intended purposes to manage all of those things if you so wish. But likewise, you can also use this file to deconstruct it and to pull all of its pieces apart and learn Tinderbox. And my goal will be over, say, the next few weeks, if not even a month or more, because there's a lot here to start then doing additional lessons that dig in and go back to the how-tos of specific Tinderbox capabilities, but doing so through the lens and the context of this particular file and in its entirety. So that's my goal and that's my objective. So let's just jump in and I'll show you what I've got. So what you're seeing here is my daily journal time projects tracking management file. And just to be clear, this file started out like any other built-in like any other Tinderbox file. It was a blank, brand new file, and about 3 weeks ago or so, I just started out by saying daily journal, time tracking, right? And I was thinking about, how does one take these concepts of daily journal time tracking and then leverage this wonderful tool we call Tinderbox to be able to just do what Tinderbox does best, allowing us to manage the 4 C's, essentially giving us the ability to collect our thoughts and ideas and notes that we come across around the world, to then be able to curate those, to then be able to create new insight, and then ultimately, like I'm doing in this context, to be able to contribute that insight out into the world. Tinderbox is the best tool I've personally ever found in my entire life to do that. And so that's what it allows us to be able to do. And so you'll see here, again, what I'm about to show you started like this. Now fast forward a few weeks, and here's what we've got. You see a comprehensive map view here where I've got a README. I've got a note here called goals. This is where you can put in your goals for the year. A note called status of projects. And so the status of projects lets you be able to see which projects are active, complete, on hold, planning, etc. And then containers for tracking your and reporting on your activities, your time tracking activities, your journals, project management, your archived notes, lookup functions, and all of the backend capability. Now, that's the map view. Let me jump in and show you the outline view. So in outline view, you see here we have the README. So let's start with the README. Again, big project here. My goal when I started out was I wanted to create a daily journal time tracking tool, and that turned into a project management tool. But it really comes around to it's a tool to help you learn Tinderbox as well. And as I noted, it started out just as any other Tinderbox file. Was no built-in special capability that I've leveraged. It was all of the core functionality of Tinderbox, and every code, action code, template that you see here, I've been developing it over the last few months or so, and pulled it all together to be able to create a template like this. You're going to find a lot of elements in this file. There's this concepts of project and milestones and obstacles and tasks and meetings and calls and gratitude and time tracking, aka activity tracking, people, organizations, dates and agents, events, and more. You're going to see other concepts that I'm bringing from the ATB ref file into our ability to manage Tinderbox, prototypes and agents and rules and edicts and use of separators and action code and all of these other really rich and exciting capabilities that Tinderbox brings to bear, stamps and agents and timelines and the views like hyperbolic and crosstabs, etc. And then finally, I kind of just want to leave you with this. Again, if you have any questions on the how-to, like how did I do it, please ask me. Likewise, the whys and the whats. There's a lot of intentional design here that I learned along the way as I was building this, and probably some of it I've even forgotten. So if you can, ask me specific questions, that will help me be able to turn around and know what to prioritize and focus on to teach you the capabilities that you're seeing in this file. I'd also love to hear your logic. How do you manage projects and your time and your activity, and what kind of terminology do you use? What steps and processes do you use? And we can then later deconstruct this file and maybe rebuild it in a way that aligns with your logic, not necessarily mine. Let's also talk about the report formatting, or the way we organize the file, or how might we use the insights and skills and tools applied in this particular file into other tinderboxes. Because again, the action code and the fundamental logic is really universal to any project that you might be working on. And then anything else, just please connect with me, share your thoughts and ideas with me, as we always do. Now, as I noticed, there is a status of projects note that I showed you earlier. This note here is the goals. This is where you would come in and type your goals for the year. Here is a goal. All right, and notice that I've got this in text format. So I'm going to go ahead and reset that to the standard text format by hitting Shift Command T. Allows me to set things to the standard text format. Now, let's start breaking down this file and going down the list. What are you seeing here? Well, first and foremost, I've got a bunch of activities and daily journals and projects. Let's start with the activity initially. I'm going to go ahead and explode and showing you two different activities. So for me, I've got Other right now, and Tinderbox 101 are kind of the core buckets of activity I've set up for myself. And there's some on-add functions here that allow me to apply the time tracker prototype, apply the project, Tinderbox 101, and set its time band. And I'll explain some of those elements later. But let's go ahead and start an activity. And we'll start an activity and we'll call it recording the daily journal lesson 1, part 1. Okay, so that's the activity we're starting. Now watch what's going to happen. It immediately applies the Tinderbox 101 project to it, and using display expressions, it actually shows that in the display. So whenever I see that activity showing up anywhere in the reports, I'll be able to quickly ascertain that this is part of the Tinderbox 101 efforts. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the start it. And so, whoops, not completed, sorry, whoops. I'm going to go ahead and hit type now. And what that's going to do is it's going to set the time to right now. And so now let's move on, and I'll show you some of the other activities. We'll kind of come back to that later. Now let's start with tracking. So on the tracking, I've built a number of different reports into the tracking solution, and I've added the code here in the text file, which we'll deconstruct in a future lesson later. But you can see the system's going out and pulling in all of the different activities and reports that are happening. And in addition to being able to, provided you templates on how to find all your events, those things that have never due dates, overdue, due today, due this week, due next month. I have also added your a series of agents that will search on priority too. So depending on how you want to look at your notes, are you searching for your notes by date, or you're searching your notes by priority? You can do that using these examples in this file. Likewise, I've added some HTML templates here too. So for example, if I go look at the preview, you'll see all of the reports are publishing as a table. And so you could easily just hit a Command A, copy this, and then paste it into an Excel spreadsheet if you wanted to be administering your notes and activities and analyzing them in a different format. So you could do that too. Now, we're going to dig into these at a later date. So that's the tracking section. I've created a daily journal section. I'll go ahead and delete this one and show you a new example. So you see here, like I showed you in reporting, if you have your preview open, you could be looking at the activities reporting, and you'll notice something here too. I've got an include pulling in. So if I look at the specific note, you're not going to see that here. What that includes about is I've added some, working with my business coach. She says, let's start measuring how you're feeling on any given day. So as part of the daily journal, I've asked, like, am I eating well, sleeping well, moving? And on a scale of 1 to 10, I kind of end my day by saying, like, what was I feeling that day? So but sometimes I forget what the category is. So I'm pulling from a lookup include into the template. So when I go preview, it actually will show me what the rating scale is and remind me what that is. And again, we'll show you how to do that stuff later. Similarly, if I look at them, now this is kind of fun. That's looking at an individual day, but if I look at the entire week, schedule of all of the journals in there, the include goes away, and I just get the focus of actions and journal entries for those specific days. Let me give you an example of one here. We'll create a new one. It automatically will create it for that particular date, January 24th. We'll go ahead here, and we'll start saying actions. Select, finish, Becker, finish the daily journal lesson part 1 is one of the activities that I want to do today. Later in a future lesson, I'm going to show you how you can explode these into individual action items, which is a utility I've developed. Is really cool. It's a capability here, and then you can add your notes here. Here are notes about today, and then likewise you can explode those into individual notes too, and I'll show you a method or pattern that I've done to be able to develop that. So that's what your journal tracking is all about. And you can go ahead and archive it if you want. You can check it. There's a variety of elements that you can do there. In addition to that, I've already started showing you the time activity elements. So you can also you can nest different tasks in these activities too. So let me make here task, set up YouTube video for this lesson, right? So that will be one of the tasks that I'll do later, and we'll go ahead and change this from an activity to a task. And so you can see that now I've got a task, and I can set up, like, let's say the start date is now, or we'll leave the start date and we'll say the due date is going to be for, say, 4 o'clock p.m. this afternoon. Okay, so that way you can start organizing your to-do dates, your due dates, etc. You can set a priority. For example, this will become a priority 1. Later, if you noticed here, I had these agents turned off, so I can look at my high priority 1 items, and I can turn these agents on, and you'll be able to see are there any notes that are priority 1? And there are my priority 1 notes that just popped up. There's 10 of them. So those are the kinds of things that you'll be able to do when you're looking at the activities. So, and again, we'll drill down and show you some of that more later when we deconstruct this file in future lessons. So what I showed you so far is the ability to run queries, to be able to run your journal, to be able to go through and show you your time and activity. Now, in addition to these elements, I also have a project management capability, so you can have active projects, random tasks, opportunities if you're doing sales. You can have projects that are in planning or on hold. You'll notice I've got some on add functions here that will turn projects off or on, and the rules and agents off or on to make sure we're optimizing the finite processing power of both Tinderbox and my computer. Now let's go ahead and create a new project, and I'll show you. We'll go project, and then we'll say this one is recording the Tinderbox Daily Journal and Project Management lessons. Okay, so that's the project. And let's say we're going to go ahead and say this project's going to take me about probably 6 weeks to fully do it down. So we'll have it starting for now, and we'll say let's even say longer, by the end or mid-March is when we're going to have this done. Okay, so I'm thinking, all right, so we're going to start today, and about mid-March we're going to have this project done. But now I'm thinking, well, I actually want to break this down into details. So we're going to first start with a milestone. The milestone is going to be record part 1 lesson. All right, so I go ahead and here. Now watch what happened. I push record part 1 lesson in, and I'm going to change this to a milestone. And now you see the dates disappeared. Well, the reason why the dates disappeared is I want the dates for a project to be driven by its descendants and children. So in this case, if I say 1, so milestone record part 1 is starting today, and we're going to have this done by, say, 4 o'clock this afternoon. And then we're going to have another milestone of complete lesson plans for this course. Okay. And let's say that's when this one's starting. So it's really starting on the 24th. And the complete lesson plans for this course, we're going to make that also a milestone. And we're going to say that one is going to start today. 1/24/21, and we'll probably get that done by, let's say, the end of January. So let's say 1/31/21 is when we're going to get those lessons done. And now look what happened. I said I started at 2/24 and it went to 1/31. Well, it turned red. So that tells me that something's wrong with my dates. And so I need to go fix that. So we're going to say now here, and we're going to have this lesson plan done by, say, I don't know, we'll just randomly do it right now so we can keep the lesson going. So you'll now see my dates are 1/24/124, and we have 1/24/215, and then let's put a task out there too. Maybe market the lesson, and we're going to stick a task out there. Let's make that a task, and we'll say that due date is going to be 3/1/21. And then maybe we also want to, just put an update out there. Call, give Mark A call. All right, and I can go ahead and set that up. And we're going to say that call, its due date is going to be, let's say, on 4/1/21, just for the sake of this particular demo. So you see here within a project, you can organize a variety of different milestones, tasks, and calls. You'll notice also later, and I'll show you, we've got other templates like stories, if you're doing a development methodology, or agile development methodology, or meetings, etc. Now, check this out. I've added a bunch of dates in here. If I now go look at the project, the date of the project then automatically captures from the descendants, and I've got a very cool set of code using rules that will actually look at the descendants and pull out the earliest date and the oldest date. So you see 1/24/21 and 4/1/2021. Well, the reality is this record part lesson 1, actually, build template is the first milestone, and we'll move that one up here just to organize it. And I'll turn that back to a milestone, and we'll say I built the template starting about let's say I started around the start of the year, 1/1/21, and I've just finished it this morning to be able to ready for the lesson, and we're now going to make this complete. Now watch what happens. When I hit the checkbox, it actually says complete, and you notice the time changed as well, and it automatically says 22 days. Now if I uncheck it, that will go through, reset the time, reset the end date, check it again, and it's going to go process that and show me that time. So there's a really exciting element in this tool to be able to track and manage the activities, and leveraging the rules and agents to be able to process this kind of program in this of this nature. And so that's the way we're going to manage projects. Now you'll also see that I have, based on using my rules and agents, that we can be rolling up cost, time, and effort too. So let's say the recording of this lesson from an effort, well, this is going to take me about 0.5 days. The cost, let's say there's about $100. Let's say complete lesson course plan, let's say this is going to take me about 3 days. Cost will be 0. And let's say marketing the lesson, it's going to cost me about $200. So now if I look at the project, you'll actually see $300 in 3.5 days, or whatever metric that you want to be putting up. So I also have projects rolling up the ability to capture kind of costs and effort, and not to mention just total time as allocated across these different elements. So that's what's going on with projects. Now, what's interesting as well within the file, while I'm just here, I also have an archive directory, and I created a stamp to manage the archive. So let me show you this. If I go ahead here and I go to stamp and I say archive, and I archive that note, what it does is it automatically turns off the rules, turns off the agents, makes this project done, and archives the note. Now, and then later I can copy that into another Tinderbox file or manage it in that way. If I want to unarchive the note, I can just go ahead and hit unarchive, and then we'll put it right back to where it originally was. And unchecks it, and then eventually a rule, once the Tinderbox is done processing the file, it will go ahead and reset all of the different elements of the program. So again, pretty exciting. In my, I'm pretty thrilled about that activity and what's going on there. Now, what else do I have in this file? I've got a pretty extensive set of lookup capabilities where I'm caching different elements. So I've got, for example, organizations that I'm tracking. I've got a whole bunch of people that I'm tracking. Now, this is kind of another interesting element here. If I go up to my daily journal, and you'll see here, I've got a prototype I call gratitude, and this is where I can express gratitude and capture acknowledgement for things that I found important that are helping me, or people that have helped me along the way. So all of these people that have helped me along the way, I created a template called gratitude, and I can easily link these people using the link capabilities within Tinderbox to capture that, and then later I can run a report that says who helped me with this activity, who helped me on this project, who do I need to express gratitude to. So that's what I've done there as well. You'll also see that I've built some lookup functions leveraging this too. So for example, I have a lookup capability when I'm exploding a note that it will grab the last name of the person and populate a full name of that person. We'll show that in a different lesson as we're deconstructing this file. I also have, remember I talked to you about that include. I showed you in the report where I've got a file called daily rating scale. Well, this is that note that I'm pulling in to that report to be able to file that. Moreover, I've got one for SMART goals too. So if we should go up here and show you on the projects, let's look at as an individual project. If I'm looking at Tinderbox 101 training and I look at its report, it says by 2/15/21, I will complete my Tinderbox training and book. Well, obviously that's wrong. I'm not going to get a book done in the next 6 weeks. So I can then also go in here and pop in another milestone. So maybe I say milestone is complete manuscript, and so and that will be a key milestone for this book. And why don't we suggest that manuscript's going to be done? I'm going to start it now, and I'll be done probably come mid-April with the manuscript, and maybe you all can help me with the drafts and gives me some ideas. So now if I come back and look at the report, you're actually going to see now the date's now 4/21, and you can also see what tasks are in progress, what dates are here, what's going on with those, what reward I'm going to give myself. I actually haven't given specified my incentive or reward. So I could say, I could specify kind of what reward I want to be able to provide myself. And it looks like I dropped that off of the template. So we'll go ahead and add that in. So here's my reward when that I want to be able to get from this. Go get ice cream maybe. Ice cream. Okay, so there's the that, and then also I dropped off my accountability partners as I was messing around with this. So let me add that back in. Okay, and we'll say my accountability partner for this will be Tinderbox Community, Mark Bernstein, and Mark Anderson. Right? Now I could do linking there, or I could just manually type it the way I've done it. And now if I go look at that report, I actually see I'm listing my accountability partners and the reward I'm going to get myself. Once my goal is accomplished, I will celebrate by go get ice cream. And then you'll see the include that I'm pulling in from the SMART reminders here. So that gives you another example. And when I want to look at all of the projects, like I did with the journals, I can look all of my projects and get a quick status update of what's happening with all of my projects. So that shows you other examples that you're going to see within this file. I also have an analysis capability and a type list, which I'll just show you in just a minute. You'll see that there's a lot of configuration elements in this file to help optimize Tinderbox. I've cached a number of the calculations and date files and lookup naming structures here. Got an interesting template that we've built where you'll see here I can then, using lookup tables, specify how I want attributes displayed in, say, a person's note. So if I go here and then I go up to people and say, look at me, right now you'll see here are all the attributes about me. Here's some descriptions about me. But then if I look at the preview, we're using a template to pull in details about an individual and drop it into their template folder. So that's what that lookup table is about. I've got a scratch pad for being able to capture and work on action code as I'm working through the solution, and then a number of code notes that I'll pull in at different aspects throughout the file. In addition to that, there's a bunch of refined templates, daily journal and time tracking and project templates and milestones and other activities there that are of value and super interesting for me. And then a number of fairly refined templates that are making all of that reporting and export code possible. So that's the basic structure, and I've shown you how we can add notes and capabilities into the file and to manage it. Now what I want to show you though, and just to kind of start wrapping this up, and again in future lessons, I'll do little micro discrete lessons on each one of these elements to show you how I built this file. But what I wanted to do now is not only can you start managing and viewing your file in map view. Moreover, not only do you manage it and look at it in outline view, what you can also do, which is pretty exciting with Tinderbox, because one of its unique values is you can look at Tinderbox with all of its other views. So if I hit Option Command T, you'll see here I've got all of these other views I can use with Tinderbox. So I can use this outline view up here if I want, or let me show you something kind of fun here too. Let's say I want to go look at this note here, and I want to go grab my people, go to new note view, new tab, and let's say I wanted to look at these people in outline view and not in map view. This is a new thing I just recently learned. I don't need to have the toolbar open. If I hit take two fingers and tap the mouse pad, it will actually open up the toolbar navigation window. And so then in that regard, I can then do everything. I can copy the URL, I can open a new window, or I can go look at the people in map view. So there's a lot of really nice navigation that's possible there. Likewise, I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, you see this little eye here. You can click this eye and it will actually give you the ability to manage discrete activities for that particular file. So far in this view, you're seeing the map view and in the outline view. Well, guess what? I've also you can also use this file for crosstab management. So for example, if I run a crosstab on all of the types of activities, other, personal, play, school, work, and the type of note, namely, is it an activity, an agent, a call, a daily journal, a gratitude, a meeting, etc., I can now do an analysis of my work. And so I can see, like, within this particular file, 12% of my work is type work, and it's a task. 2% of it are milestones, 2% of it are calls. So you can see how you can start using the crosstab functionality within Tinderbox to do a deep dive analysis of your work and your capabilities. Likewise, you can use the chart view to expand and collapse. So I had opened up the Tinderbox file to the project chart view, and just to show you how you do that again, if I go to the outline real quick, I can simply go to that project, click here, click new, open up in new tab, and then that will give me the ability to open up that particular item in chart view. And now what you're seeing here is, let me refresh the, poor Tinderbox is struggling with me moving so fast here. Let me go ahead and do that, and I'll show you chart view. So we'll go open up in new tab. Okay, here it is. And then I can use what I just showed you earlier. We can pop it into chart view, and now I can see and look at that activity in chart view and just kind of drill down on the nesting of that particular program and see what's going on with it. So that's an exciting capability. So we have chart view as a way of analyzing and looking at your program. If I go back to the outline view here too, I have an agent, and again, we'll show you in a future more detailed lesson how I went about doing it. But I wanted to analyze all of my notes by activity timeline. So what are the various notes, and what are their various elements, and how do they play out in their activity? So I've turned the agent off for now, so I'm not managing the processing. and I can optimize the processing power of Tinderbox and my computer. But if I pop over and look at that timeline view, you'll see I can see them all broken down by activities, by projects, by tasks, by calls, by meetings, by daily journal, and by the dates. So I can look at all of my activities on a timeline view and by timeline bands. And likewise, I can see how these notes are linking to other notes, or even make connections myself by dragging and creating new connections with those linked notes. The other thing that's kind of cool in timeline view that you may not be aware of is that if you have an activity in timeline view, you can move it and it will actually change the dates. So you see how these are changing and moving around. Now projects aren't going to change. They're going to get reset. Now watch this. If I move it, the rule won't let that happen because they're being reset by its descendants. But if I move a particular task, I can because it's not being moved. So that's a really powerful. So you can see the due date or the start date is moving as I move them around. So that's a really exciting capability that you can use to manage your activities and tasks in Tinderbox as well. The next thing I wanted to show you, and again, we'll have another lesson to show you the details of how I went about doing it, but I also wanted to analyze the relationship of the types of activity and work. So I ran an agent called type analysis, and then I had it doing basically automatic link tos to original for that type of activity. And then check this analysis out. So if I go look at that, I now can run hyperbolic views. So I can say, look, here is a view of all of the, my type work, all of the notes that are happening with type work. And we can scale this down a little bit to make it make the aspect ratios a little better. And so now you can see I've got my type work. Actually, let me make this note the focus over here. I've got type work. You can see here are all the different notes that are linked to type work. They're different associations. I can actually then also see all of the notes if I want to go over here and then look at who I'm grateful for the activities I've been doing. Here are all the people that I'm grateful for the activities that I've been doing within my type work. So this is I know Mark in the next release of Tinderbox 9 is going to be doing a lot with hyperbolic view, but I just wanted to show you the possibilities that you have when you're using in this view, and it'll help you get a good sense of what's going on with those particular activities. In addition to these views, you can also use Tinderbox to drill down and see your tree maps. And so the tree map is another way of seeing the various nesting within your activity. So I can see within the tree map there are various activities and programs going on. I've got 26 total events within that tree map. I've got different activities, and if I want to drill in, I can see all 26 events and then drill right down into that file and analyze my file with greater efficiency that way as well. So again, tree map view can be a really effective way for managing and looking at your overall file and understanding what's going on with it. In addition to that, I wanted to show you can leverage attribute view in a number of exciting ways. So as I was building out this file, I just got a lot of code and a lot of edicts and a lot of rules running. And I found, I was thinking at one point, well, how can I update these really easily all in one way? Well, I just ran a quick attribute browser view and then applied the edicts and the rule capability just by double clicking and adding those elements into the view, displayed those attributes, and then I was able to quickly copy and paste in my new code into these attributes as I was going. So attribute view is a great way for managing attributes and updating your files in a relatively expeditious and quick manner as you're going through those programs. Finally, the other thing that I promised for you that I'll be bringing to the table is, as I'm digging into the other elements of this this file and showing you how I did all of these different pieces and how I made it work, I'm going to start pulling out all of the code, teaching you how to write the individual code, how the different pieces work. Like here is the code that I've refined that actually find the start end dates of the descendants for managing that project file. I'm going to comment all of this out and show you how that works and provide these text files so that you'll be able to have that as a reference and resource as well. So this was a lot. I get it. I get it. But I feel if I was afraid that if I didn't get it out now, I'd keep refining and doing incremental formalization myself and not getting this out there into the world so that you could all start using it and explain with it and, providing me more feedback back. So that's it. In summary, this is a kind of magnum opus Tinderbox project to be able to help people manage their daily journal, project management, time activities management, and such. So with that, I hope you enjoy this file. I hope you get tons of questions out of it, and we can have a really interactive dialogue around all of the ways that Tinderbox can work so that you can make something like this happen for yourself. So thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, if you don't mind, please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please connect in LinkedIn with me. Link in with me, and we'll see you later. Appreciate it.